Welcome along to the Aviva FanStudio. A destiny awaits for the Republic of Ireland tonight. A nice bright day here at the Aviva Stadium. We're a few hours away from kick-off, and we thought we'd just set the day up with a few of our journalists this afternoon just to, I suppose, set the scene for the Republic of Ireland. Dan McDonnell from the Irish Independent, Emmet Malone from the Irish Times, and John Brennan from the Sunday World are with me. And I suppose, lads, first and foremost, I know you were in Bosnia on Friday night. Mad weather conditions. Hopefully, Dan, we won't have anything like that tonight.
It should be straightforward. We should be able to... at least the reports in the papers tomorrow will be from people who've actually seen the second half of the game. Although people obviously think sometimes you haven't seen it anyway. But yeah, you know, nice clear conditions it seems. And yeah, I think there's just a general mood of quiet confidence seeping in. It's definitely reflected across the papers. I think even if we didn't see all of the first leg on Friday, clearly I think what we did see was enough evidence to suggest, and perhaps unsurprisingly, that, you know, Bosnia are in the playoffs for a reason too. They're not an exceptionally good side. They have vulnerabilities which led to them being there in the first place, just like Ireland have as well. And you have to say, although you just worry about the concession of that goal so quickly, and could that prove to be costly in the long run, that it is advantage Ireland. And I think you can sense that mood across the papers today, where, you know, phrases like it's Ireland's to lose, which wasn't the situation in terms of how bookies and various people, you know, assessing the tie beforehand looked at it.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed in the coverage yesterday, today as well, Emmet, that there's an optimism there that maybe wasn't there even on Friday.
Yeah, I'm not quite convinced that we should have kind of, you know, swung quite so far the other way. I'm looking at Ronnie Whelan's piece here in the Herald, and the headline on it, overhyped Bosnians leave door wide open, and the tone of it is, you know, very much that this is, you know, well, I mean, an average team for sure. I mean, they look like two average teams on Friday night, but really that they're completely overrated, that they have, you know, a couple of decent players aside is virtually the phrase used. They're very ordinary. They lumped the ball on Friday night, and really we have nothing to fear. And I think that's overstating the fact here. On the one hand, we're a pretty ordinary side ourselves. As Dan suggested, both teams are in the playoffs for a reason, but they dominated the game the other night. They didn't take the couple of chances they created, and they certainly didn't create as many chances as they should have, given the amount of possession that they had, the areas of the pitch they were playing with the ball. But they still dominated the game. We went there, we dug in, we defended very well, but I don't think there's anything, you know, hugely the other night to suggest that we're the better team and that the home advantage is going to make that much of a difference. We're going to change our tactics tonight, it seems. Martin O'Neill is certainly talking about us coming out and playing more. The Bosnians are quite happy about that. The Bosnians are saying that will leave space for them to run into, to attack. They gave us a rough time down the right the other night. If Stephen Ward or whoever plays in there, Mark Wilson, whoever plays in that position, starts to push forward and try and provide width from the left-hand side, that's going to leave space for Visca to run into again. You know, it's very finely balanced. I really don't know how you call this, but certainly I don't know how you suddenly find yourself being very, very confident that Ireland are going to go through.
What do you reckon, John? How confident are you?
A little bit more than Emmet seems to be. I wouldn't be guaranteed that we're going to qualify, not in a million years, but I think we'll play this the way we played Germany.
That'd be great.
Yeah, if it finishes the same way, perfect. But whatever Martin may be saying for public consumption, I suspect we're going to play this the way we played Germany. Because the one certainty tonight is that if Bosnia don't score, we're through. Now that will play on the Bosnian minds as well. At some point in the game, they have to come out and attack us. And the longer it stays 0-0, now the longer it stays 0-0 and things get nervous and they score one and then we're out, that's another complication of what Emmet is saying about we have to attack as well. But the fact is that they have to score. We don't. And I suspect we will play our tactics much the same as we played them in the Germany game. Compact, tight, tackling hard. We'll get on to one or two of the selection conundrums in a minute. And maybe trying to nick a goal, which we famously did from Shane Long.
Yeah. Let's talk about those selections then, because right throughout the papers, you know, even, OK, Wes Hoolahan first and foremost, is he going to play? Some people, I know Neil O'Riordan is saying no, Liam Mackey in the Examiner is saying no as well. What do you reckon, guys? Is he going to play?
Yeah, I mean, Liam Brady in the Examiner as well doesn't expect Wes to start because John Walters has returned to the team. I think he will. I think he will start the game. I think he was withdrawn after an hour on Friday with a view to playing on Monday night. This argument, can he play 180 minutes? Well, he's played 60 only already, so I think he can play 150 anyway. So I think Martin O'Neill has consistently spoken throughout the campaign about, at the Aviva, how do we improve at the Aviva? I think Wes at the Aviva. Now, that has actually led to some criticism that he should be doing that away from home too. But that's sort of beside the point. We're playing at the Aviva tonight, and this is where he has always played, Wes, when he's available. And to take Wes out of the equation tonight would be a huge call. Now, perhaps when he made the substitution on Friday, it was 0-0. At that point, 0-0 wasn't a great result because you're vulnerable to the away goal. Now, with 1-1, is it better than a 0-0? I don't know, does that change the thinking? That's the only argument I think you can you could say, for taking Wes out of it. And perhaps the fact that Robbie Brady, when he moved into that central role, showed that actually if you attack the Bosnian centre-halves with a bit of pace, that they are vulnerable. And that is the encouragement about Bosnia, is that they conceded quite a lot of goals, particularly away from home. And maybe you need to be more direct in terms of hitting them with pace. But to me, I think from monitoring O'Neill across the campaign, I would suspect that Wes will start the game. But it would be surprised if we didn't.
If we have to score, surely Wes Hoolahan is part of that.
I think one thing is we'll get the team, whatever it is, an hour and a half before the kick-off tonight. And absolutely, if Wes Hoolahan is not in the team, then we know John is right about the tactics. Most of the papers that have gone for leaving Wes out of the team have gone for a kind of two-man attack with Murphy still in the side, which seems doubtful. He didn't train yesterday properly, but with Walters coming in maybe behind him in that central playing off him. That's perfectly plausible. Walters might also come in on the right hand side, and there'd be a switch with somebody else playing off the striker. But if we're doing that, it seems absolutely certain that the approach will be to dig in and then hit long diagonal balls out to the wings or up straight up to Murphy. Now Murphy did very little the other night, didn't really hold the ball up, didn't win very much in the air. I absolutely agree with Dan. I think that the tactic here is if we're gonna hope to score against these guys, we have to run against them. They lack pace at the back, and Wes for sure is an absolutely key part of us playing the ball through the centre and running at them, keeping possession, creating chances from open play. I'd be stunned if he's dropped. Martin O'Neill talked very early in the campaign, perhaps before the campaign started, about Wes being a player that he saw being, centrally involved in home games that we were looking to win, but not so much in the away matches. And I think what we've seen over the course of the campaign is Hoolahan becomes so integral to Ireland's hopes of playing well, of keeping the ball, of winning games, that we have seen him come in for big games like Friday night. I just can't see that he played the other night and he doesn't play tonight.
Okay, if he's one conundrum then, John, what about Shane Long?
He won't start.
Okay.
But he will.
You all agree? You don't think he'll start?
I don't think so.
No chance. It'd be astonishment, but I think he will be on the bench and he will be ready. If it's 1-1 again tonight with 20 minutes to go, I suspect he'll come on. He hasn't played since the Poland game. He's been carrying an injury. Martin didn't choose to risk him at all in Bosnia. But I think when you need a goal, when you need something, when you need pace, we've seen that the Bosnians don't have a lot of pace at the heart of their defence, and by God, he is fast. So you bring him on and you risk it. And I think Martin will do that tonight.
And is he okay for 20 minutes?
Well, I think the thing about this is there's 2 points. One is O'Neill is very hard to call in terms of his team selection. So we sit here and we express confidence about what he's good. But in the majority of his games, he has surprised us all with the team selections. They've tended to be attacking formations, and a couple of the games in particular, I think Poland here in March, he has surprised us with how attacking the selection has been. And the other thing is that he doesn't give very much away. Trapattoni would be very open about what his team was going to be. Even to the players and to the press. We'd go in, watch training games, and it was quite clear who was going to play. Brian Kerr, makes much all the time when he was manager, now in his newspaper columns about, keeping things under wraps. But in fact, it wasn't all that difficult to call what the team was. He openly admits that he finds it very difficult to call Martin O'Neill's side. But Martin doesn't give very much away about the fitness of the players. So we go there yesterday. Shane Long, John O'Shea have trained. The reality is we don't know very much about how fit those two players feel they are themselves, but it's very hard to see that Long starts. O'Shea, I think, is a more difficult one to call.
I think the two factors for a team selection tonight, which are maybe different from other games, one, there's a very real possibility you could be talking about 120 minutes as opposed to 90. Irish football loves a 1-1 draw, so it's entirely possible we could go that way. And the other aspect that comes with that is, I think in the Germany game here, it was fantastic that it worked out. But 2 of the substitutions were enforced because of injuries. So when you're talking about the selection at the back 4, and there's contrasting views about whether O'Shea will come in or not, if you waste a substitution on a defensive switch, I think he wants to keep players in reserve, like even Robbie, McGeady, maybe James McLean as well. I mean, certain people think he might start the game. You don't want to be wasting a switch on bringing in a defender for someone that's not 100% right, because if it goes the distance, that could be crucial.
There's also the conundrum of breaking up a partnership like Keogh and Clark, who played so well the other night.
I do think in defence it's 2 from 3. And a lot depends on something that, as I say, I don't think we know the answer to, which is how fit John O'Shea feels he is. He very nearly came in for Sunderland's last game, then had a bit of a reaction to something in training the day before, doesn't play, has had whatever it is now, nearly 10 days since then, during which time he's supposed to have made a fair bit of progress. If that's the case, if he is absolutely sure that that he can get through 90 minutes, most likely 120 minutes, then I think he starts. But that's a big if, and we don't know the answer to that. If I think there's any doubt, it's a hamstring injury. It could, if he's vulnerable to go in again, then absolutely. I think the guys the other night did so well that he won't want to change that.
Okay. I think, Jacqui, if he was just suspended for Friday night,
I
think he's been the leader of the team. He's often been captain if Robbie doesn't start. I think he just comes straight back in. But the hamstring injury, it can go after 3 minutes chasing after Deco, or worse, it can go after 3 minutes and he can't chase after Deco and he scores and the whole thing is up in the air. Unless he's 100% fit, I don't see him starting tonight.
Okay. We're almost out of time, but I suppose, look, let's put our hearts kind of aside for the moment and realise, are we going to qualify here? I mean, we are going to have a full house in the Aviva Stadium, nice bright day, as we say, perfect conditions. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I am leaning towards the confidence side of things. I have to say.
Who knew?
And I mean, but I don't think anyone who's followed Irish football for a particular period of time can be too confident.
Yeah.
I think that it's not going to be emphatic. I just think at certain times in the campaign, this team has sort of found a way to get the result. They've dug in and got that result. And I do think if it's 0-0 after half an hour, even if they start with the intent of trying to get that goal, I think if it's 0-0 after half an hour, that may change. And all of a sudden that we don't concede, we're through mentality starts to kick in. But I think it's just, I don't know, I think the Germany game showed a lot of spirit, a lot of late goals in the group. Stephen Reid touched on it in his column today. For a lot of the players, I mean, this could be a life changer. I mean, this is a real serious opportunity. And I just, maybe when it comes down to the crunch, they might just be able to eke it out. I think I take confidence from the fact that when Bosnia needed the goal on Friday at 0-0, they did start to go long. They started to lose their way a bit too. Now, they did get the equaliser. But
they did get the goal,
they did,
crucially.
No, but from the 60-minute point onwards, they sort of changed their approach and they were panicking a bit. And that's why it was such a costly concession, to give them a very straightforward goal. But I just think generally, they felt they had to win on Friday. And I just think our team could be mentally stronger. Ireland to go through.
Yeah, I'm naturally pessimistic where the team is concerned, and I haven't found it bitten me in the backside too many times down the years. I'd be concerned. I agree with somewhat Dan has said. I also think that over the last 3-4 months since June, when really I would have thought we were going out of the competition.
I think we all
we've clawed our way back into this. We've won games or got points, won games essentially when we really needed to. The Germany game being a huge result for us. We went into the Poland game with nothing to lose. So, I mean, you could argue that was a failure in that sort of sense, but there was that kind of fallback position of going into the playoffs, so perhaps the urgency wasn't there. I've been really impressed with the way that O'Neill has sort of kick-started the campaign from a point where things looked pretty bad and we all thought we were in deep trouble. That absolutely, I think, is some cause for optimism here. I think the other side of it, though, is that the Bosnians concede goals. It was always gave us some hope going there that we would score, but they also score quite a few of them. I find it hard to believe that Pjanic will be as anonymous as he was the other night, or play as deep, or that Dzeko will be as poor or quiet, or that, whether it's Ibisevic or Juric, or, they have attacking players. Viska gave us an awful lot of trouble the other night. Everything went down the right for them. Lulic, who's a really fine player out on the left, was completely quiet because they didn't give him the ball at all. I think there are a variety of reasons to believe that they are going to be better tonight than they are. It's an interesting thing. I stumbled upon yesterday that when Chelsea drew 1-1 away a couple of years ago in the Champions League, Mourinho was going on about 1-1 being a really dangerous score. And when somebody did the stats on it over the previous 5 seasons in European football, European club football, actually teams have a lower success rate, a significantly lower success rate delivering on a 1-1 away win than they do on a 0-0 away win. There's something about the mentality there, or how finely it is balanced. Things are better in international football, very few games to call on, but it's really, really so tight, and I would still be concerned that that difficulty of striking the balance, which both managers talked about yesterday, may yet cost us.
John, even listening to Emmet, I'm swinging both ways as I'm listening, literally. You have the casting vote here, yeah.
How are your nerves, Jacqui? Do you fancy penalties?
No, I would not fancy penalties.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that has to make a difference tonight is what we're here for, the FanStudio. For the 20 minutes after Shane Long's goal against Germany, this place rocked. I thought those 2 pillars out there that hold it up were going to tumble, because the place absolutely rocked like a real football stadium. And it has to be like that tonight, from the off. And even if the Bosnians score, it has to resume like that, because the people have to get behind the team. The team have to know that they have the support and that the people are willing them. I think we'll just about get there. Don't ask me whether it'll be after 90, 120 or 10 penalties.
I hope to God it isn't. Thanks to John, to Emmet and to Dan. We're back at 7 o'clock tonight in this Aviva FanStudio, building up to kick-off at 7:45. You can get involved joining the hashtag Aviva FanStudio. Alan Cawley and Clinton Morrison will be with me later on. Do join us. It's going to be one hell of a ride.